Hey everyone, Penem here again, and today, well, we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to open something pretty retro, and here it is. It's the Zombie World Structure Deck, first edition. So I've had one of these saved up for a while. You guys might already know that I'm a very big zombie fan. Honestly, zombies have been such a great deck to me throughout all the years, starting from like Dark Crisis, which was one of the original sets where a lot of them, including I believe Vampire Lord, came out, and I've only had some very good times playing zombies since then. Lately, I played Vendrids, but the main era in which I enjoyed zombies the most was 5Ds because of Zombie World, and this is such a thing. It's so close to me right now that I still remember some combos I did when I actually played this deck back in the days. And this is by Upper Deck. It's been a long time, guys. It's been a very, very long time. I'm trying to see if there's any like year or so on the deck. But really, this is at the early 5Ds era. And the reason why we're opening this today is because there's the new zombie deck coming out, I believe, in a week, max. And really, I am so excited that there is a brand new zombie deck in the TCG. It's been released in the OCG for a while. I really wanted to open some very exclusive OCG stuff. I wanted to open the OCG version of the Future deck that's coming out soon. I wanted to open a OCG version of this deck, but because of the post office, which is having like this little incident lately, they're on strike and stuff like that. So everything that I've ordered from OCG land, so whether it be Japan, Korea, or whatever, has been taking an eternity to come to my house, and it's been a very, very long time since, well, I've been planning this, and it still hasn't arrived. So here we are opening the TCG version. I am very sad to have to open this and not have it in my collection, but you know, there's like this random sticker in the back, and you can see it's bent over here. So, you know, it's not necessarily worth keeping sealed in a collection at this point. I can always try to find a different version that's still in very good shape eventually. But yeah, so I've been saving up this specific deck for the collection, but let's open it to celebrate new zombies arriving. And it's kind of funny to say because, you know, zombies should not be new. They should be old and dead. But we're gaining some new stuff, and that is awesome. We'll just put this in the back again. Right here. There we go. So this came out early 5Ds. Maybe the, yeah, this should give us some pretty cool info, I guess. But yeah, we have the official rulebook 7.0. This is more recent than I thought. But yeah, early 5Ds era. So no links, no exceeds, only synchros, rituals, and fusions. The good old days. Good old days. Oh man, I played this deck with, well, I bought 2 copies of these back in the days, traded for a 3rd Zombie World, got a Plague Spreader zombie, had a few synchros for the deck. It was such a great, fun time. Won a few locals, first place back then. 20 people locals, still got first place. I was young too. Look at that artwork. Love it. Look at the details on this artwork. Like, it's not even a card at this point. This is just awesome artwork. Look at that zombie dog looking thing. And all these dead creatures and stuff. Awesome. Oh man, this is great. Like, this is a very good road trip down memory lane for me. I hope you guys are enjoying this just as much as I am. So here we have the deck list. We won't spend too much time reading it because obviously we'll be reviewing the deck pretty soon. But let's see the tips on how to play this deck. So basically, you get Zombie World to stop your opponent from doing their type-based combos, and you get your big boss monsters, which actually steal your opponent's monsters after they destroy them by battle. You can revive some stuff, you can special summon from your deck or your hand, and basically that's how you run the deck. You stop them, and you steal them. Back then, that was very good because it stopped a lot of decks that were playing specific types, like warrior decks and stuff like that. And proof that it's from the early 5Ds era is that there was only the Duelist Genesis out back then, And honestly, synchros were pretty good in this deck, especially after Crossroads of Chaos came out, because that's when Plague Spider Zombie came out, and I believe Doomkaiser Dragon and Archfiend Skull Zombie or something like that. Zombie Archfiend Skull. Like, those came out back in the days. We had Ill Blood from the Tactical Evolution, but I believe it also came as a promo at some point. We had from Phantom Darkness, Goblin Zombie, which was awesome, and it just came out like a few sets before this actually came out, so it's not that hard to go and find. Premium Pack 2 gave us Mizuki, and Mizuki was a very big hit for this deck. You had to play 3, you just had to play 3. And Foolish Burial and stuff like that would send this to the grave, and you would get so many combos off. Back in the days, this was insane. Light of Destruction was meh, because you wouldn't necessarily play these cards, but they were still interesting to some degree. But yeah, the beginning of Synchro era and these two sets were very, very prominent and still popular, and that helped a lot of people to, you know, get this deck started and or trade to help people who wanted to play this deck. So, Online Duel Evolution, free download on YugiOhOnline.net. So, yeah, this was back when Yu-Gi-Oh! Was Shonen Jump's little thing with Upper Deck, and oh, this looks good. Oh, this looks good. We gotta open this. I don't want to damage anything in here. There we go. These little tabs. It's not very old, so maybe the ink won't smell as good as the old packs that we've opened before on this channel, but let's take a quick whiff. Somewhat smells a bit. Somewhat. Just a bit. So the Online Duel Evolutions from GX, because GX had just ended back then. And now we have the deck. The one and only Zombie World deck, because the next one is Zombie Hordes or something like that. And the one before this one was the one with Vampire Genesis in it. Let's get started. So we have Red Eyes Zombie Dragon, the OG best zombie at the time. And honestly, this was insane. It was so easy to summon because you could tribute summon it in attack position by tributing a zombie monster. So you only had to tribute summon it with one tribute summon. You know, one tribute was enough. You could steal your opponent's monster and then tribute the opponent's monster for this. It was so easy. And then this would steal some more, so you could summon some more. That was insane back then. Ah, this looks good. It's like it's still very glossy all around the card, not just the front, like not just the image. Loving it. But back then, we only had one foil per deck. That was not the case a few years ago. That was the case a long time ago. But they were beautiful. And we still bought the decks because they were great. They were a very good way to start playing back then because, you know, back then the game wasn't as advanced in the state of affair that new decks were meant to do nothing to the meta. They actually did some relevance, not just once in a while, but most of the time. We have Malevolent Mech Goku N. You can normal summon this card without tributing, and if you do, it's sent to the graveyard at the end phase. But if this is the only zombie monster on the field, so if you had another one, that's a free 2400 attack monster. But when this card is sent to the graveyard by this effect, you take damage equal to the attack. So it hurts. We have Paladin of the Cursed Dragon. This is a very good card in this deck. Honestly, played 3 back then. Once per turn, you can special summon a level 4 or lower zombie monster that was destroyed by battle from your opponent's graveyard to your side of the field. And it doesn't say destroyed by battle this turn. So if you destroyed a monster by battle the previous turn, you could special summon it back if it was a zombie, but usually Zombie World would make it so, and then you could tribute it for Red Eyes. It's an easy combo. It was very good back then. We have Gernia, or Jernia. I believe this is one of the faces on the mat. If this face-up card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon it during your next standby phase. Free tribute. Patrician of Darkness. So basically, you get to select the targets of your opponent's attacks. Pretty useful. Not always useful. I wouldn't play more than one if I played one at all back then, but that was still a pretty cool card. We have Royal Keeper, which is basically a flip card. if it is flipped face up, it gains 300 attack and defense, which was pretty good. But you know, if it was attacked, it only resolves after the damage. So it's eh. But it was pretty interesting to play this. It was still a pretty decent beat stick for the deck back in the days. We have Pyramid Turtle, which is too good to be true in this deck. Honestly, you need 3. There's only 2 that they actually give you, but you need to play 3. This is insane. This dies by battle, and you special summon this from your deck, because it's 2000 or less defense, not attack. So it was an easy, free summon. You could also summon Vampire Lord. You could summon Mizuki and go into some synchros next turn or whatever. It was a very good card back then. We have Master Kyonchi. A wandering Kyonchi searching for a strong rival to defeat. They say he was known as the master of all martial arts. So it's 1750, which is weird, but it was a decent beat stick still. We have Spirit Reaper. Very, very powerful stalling card that could discard your opponent's card. And back then, well, your opponent, unless they were playing Dark Worlds, which were somewhat relevant, you wouldn't really have any problems discarding their cards. You don't care. You actually want them to lose resources. We have Getsu Fuma. If it battles a fiend or zombie monster, destroy that monster at the end of the battle at the end of the damage step. So this is good because it's a warrior. It becomes a zombie because of Zombie World, but so does your opponent's monster. So that means that you get to destroy them pretty easily. We have Ryokoki. Similar effect to Fuma, but for warrior and spellcasters. Also summonable with the aforementioned Pyramid Turtle. Regenerating Mummy. Very good card against people who make you discard. We have it twice. We have Des Lakuda. Once per turn, you can flip this card face down in defense position. But when this card is flipped summoned, you draw a card. So if you were able to stall, this would help you draw. Usually people would take this out for, you know, Mizuki or, you know, Goblin Zombie or whatever. But it's still a very interesting card if you do get to stall. We have Marionette Might, another card that people would usually take out of the deck. You can discard this card to the graveyard to take control of one face-up fiend or zombie monster your opponent controls. So the field would help you use this. But if you didn't have the field, it's a complete waste of the deck. Plague Wolf, very, very beautiful artwork right here. You guys might want to see it. You can see some bones up here and there. You can see some damage over here and all these little flames of life coming out of it. Like, this tongue stops here, but you get all this saliva out. I just loved the artworks in this deck, really. But, yeah. Once per turn, you can change this card's attack to twice its original attack, but it's destroyed during the end phase. Zombie Master, another beautiful artwork right here. We have, this is Regenerating Zombie, I believe. It's been a while, I haven't checked anything, but, no, it's Reborn Zombie. I can't remember exactly. But this artwork was just beautiful. It's not the first print, obviously. I believe, Zombie Master was printed in, was it Tactical Evolution? No, it's somewhere around that, but I don't remember exactly when. It was a super. I do remember that because I did have quite a few and I still own a few of them. I just don't remember exactly the set. But this is an insanely good card in here. If you had a zombie in your graveyard, let's say you had Plague Wolf in your graveyard, you summoned this and you had this in your hand. Once per turn, you can send a monster card from your hand to the graveyard to special summon one level 4 or lower zombie type monster from either player's graveyard. So if Plague Wolf was in your graveyard, or you had an opponent's monster that's level 4 in your opponent's graveyard, send this to the grave, bring that card back, so you're at 2, and then usually you would play Book of Life or something like that to bring back the beautiful Red Eye Zombie. So it was an easy way to get some zombies in your graveyard. You could always just send Mizuki to the graveyard back then too. Very, very good combo right there. Or you could send Plague Spreader, which would just come back afterwards, and you could use your opponent's monster that you special summoned for a material for synchros. So that was a very good way of playing the deck back then. We have it twice. We have Zombie World. Such a great card. Honestly, really glad to see it again. I know this and this are reprinted in the most recent deck that's coming out in a few days. But you know, having the originals is always nice. This card as a foil is actually worth a lot of money. Considering what it is, it's still very valuable. We have Spell Shattering Arrow, which destroys all face-up spell cards your opponent controls, and they take 500 for each. Cold Wave, which is banned for a good reason, stops pretty much all spells and traps, so, you know, pretty good. Magical Stolen Excavation, good for sending stuff to your graveyard and searching for a spell. If your opponent destroyed your zombie world and you were playing just a pure one structure deck, zombie world deck, well, you would use this to bring your zombie world back because you need the card. Card of Safe Return, because you need to draw when something is special summoned from the graveyard, and this deck does that a lot. Creature Swap, because stealing is caring. You would just give your opponent a crappy card like Des Lakuta in attack mode, steal one of their monsters, which is a zombie, tribute, attack, steal back, win. You know, classic. Book of Life, because such a great card for the deck. You could banish an opponent's card also, so it's pretty good. Call of the Mummy, because obviously you want to summon your big boss monsters very often, and as you guys might have noticed, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 monsters, which are higher than level 5, or 5 or higher actually. So, you know, 4 cards out of 40 cards is still, you know, a big amount, which could brick. So this is good to have in your deck. Also, usually people would add more zombie dragons, and maybe more Ryukakis, take out the Patrician, and maybe the Malevolent would keep 1 or 2. So, you know, people would modulate those, and having more calls are always useful. Terraforming, because searching is beautifully good in this deck. We have Pot of Avarice, which is also banned for a good reason, but this card usually was such a great card back then because people were starting to turbo out synchros, and you would have so many cards in your graveyard that this was just a need, and it helped you draw. We have Shrink to win in battles. We have Field Barrier to protect your field spell. Soul Taker to give your opponent's life for 1,000, and then just blow something up. We have Ribbon of Rebirth, so if something is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you just bring it back. This with cards of Safe Return was a very good combo, really, because obviously it comes back and you draw 1 for free. It's such a great combo back then. We have Card Destruction, which is good in this deck for obvious reason. We have Imperial Iron Wall because you didn't want your zombies to get banished. We have Dust Tornado to, you know, get some control going. We have Bottomless Trapple, which was a very good reprint in this box. Synchros were just coming out, which means that a lot of high attack, easily summonable monsters were swarming the world. And basically, this was only printed in, I believe, Dark Crisis, which was a long time before this. So, you know, this was a very good reprint back then. Very easily accessible. Play 3 of them in your deck. I believe it was limited or semi-limited, actually. But, you know, still, you could get as many as you want, and then play them, and stall, and then get your big monsters out. Teuton Mask to protect yourself, well, your monsters. Waboku to protect your monsters and yourself. And we have Magical Arm Shield, which was also a pretty decent card, but not too great, because obviously your opponent needed to have 2 monsters. Yeah. So, you know, wasn't too good of a card back then. Was still interesting, but not too good. You needed to be in a very bad spot to actually get any use out of it. But, you know, this was a very powerful deck when it came out, and I still love playing zombies. This is just such a great trip down memory lane for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I sure did. Red Eyes Zombie Dragon. We shall meet again in just a few days. Until next time, guys, it's been a pleasure, and Panem out.